Listen-only mode.
Good day to all, and welcome to the webinar where we're excited to introduce you to a new APICS member benefit to keep your organization competitive. My name is Carolyn Lawrence, and I am the Director of Corporate Development for APICS. Joining me today on the broadcast is Kathleen Schroeder, Director of Membership, and John Brandt, CEO of the MPI Group. We are pleased you are joining us today as we share a first look for APICS members into manufacturing and distribution site-based benchmarking. Just a bit of housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded, and we do not expect this to last the full hour. We have included time prior to the end of the session to answer questions. Please type your question in the question box located in the panel on your screen as we move through the presentation and demonstration. If we are unable to answer all of the questions prior to the end of the broadcast, we will follow up with answers to all of your queries. This presentation and webinar link will be sent to each of you after the broadcast. Today, our webinar focuses on providing a tactical understanding of how to leverage both manufacturing and distribution site benchmarking tools to formulate strategies that enable you and your team to keep your organization competitive in this fast-paced world of supply chain. Today, we will discuss how professionals can advance their organizations through use of these turnkey benchmark tools. We will begin by highlighting the market and industry drivers behind benchmarking. From there, we will explain and demonstrate how to use the manufacturing and distribution site benchmarking tools and how to interpret the results. As most of you are familiar, APICS is the premier professional association focused on working with both individuals and corporations to advance supply chain optimization, whether through education, research, our body of knowledge, systems, or methods. From our vast experience, we know that a company's journey to supply chain excellence is not easy. It takes focus on all aspects of the business and supply chain to be successful. As such, APICS provides resources, tools, and techniques to transform your supply chain to gain business value with both bottom and top line results. Standard metrics and best-in-class benchmarking tools like these we are demonstrating today play a pivotal role in helping companies improve and optimize their supply chains. However, to gain a full business value through supply chain optimization, companies must implement not only performance, but also supply chain strategy, process, and people improvements. The APICS for Business value proposition has integrated products and services that can be configured to unbiased, standardized, customer-centric implementation solutions to deliver business value and build leaders. For more information, please contact APICS Corporate Development. It is now my pleasure to introduce Kathleen Schroeder, Director of Membership for APICS. Kathleen focuses on ensuring a positive member experience by providing valuable APICS member benefits and resources. She combines more than 10 years of professional association experience focused on recruitment, retention, engagement, and overall member value. Please welcome with me, Kathleen Schroeder.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. Hello, everyone. Very briefly, I wanted to mention 3 new benefits that are available exclusively to APICS members. We've got the APICS Digital Library, which contains 400 tools, templates, and white papers on topics in the supply chain, logistics, and operations management fields. The APICS value chain frameworks that provide your organization with a standard for defining process and measuring performance. There are 5 frameworks along with case studies to see how other organizations reduce cycle time, cut costs, and increase their bottom line. And we also have the ScoreMark Site Benchmarks, which is our main event today and why you all are here joining us. You'll be learning how to use these tools that combine data of over 1,000 companies and 2,000 supply chains for comparison. So to access all these great APICS member benefits, I encourage you to log into apics.org, and you'll go over to My APICS in the top header. Once you're in My APICS, you're going to click on My Quick Links and then select My Member Benefits. Once you're on the member benefits page, you'll find those 3 new great benefits along with all the other great benefits you have exclusive access to. We have APICS certification resources for you, whether you're just looking into certification that's right, which one's right for you, or if you're working on maintaining the certification you've already achieved, we've got you covered. If you're just starting out in your career or ready to advance in your current position, you should definitely visit our Career Center. You have access to our career coach, Rodney Apple, along with all of his webinars and white papers. This is also where you can quickly get to the job board where APICS members have exclusive access to view new job posts 4 days prior to non-members. And you should also consider uploading your resume to the job board as well. APICS members stand out with an APICS logo to employers within the resume bank that they search through. I also encourage you to check out our the supply chain channel, which is our members only online community for topic-related discussions. We have many communities from APICS certification-specific groups to hot topics in supply chain management. And here you'll also find our member directory where you can connect and network with like-minded professionals. And lastly, the member benefits page makes it real easy for you to locate the APICS magazine, any blog posts, webinars, APICS events, and much, much more. So I just wanted to, throw that page out to you and make sure that you can quickly and easily locate that again in the My APICS portion of the website once you're logged in. So now I'm very excited to introduce John Brandt, CEO and founder of the MPI Group. John has devoted more than 2 decades to studying leadership in effective, purpose-driven organizations, an expert on how companies can adapt themselves to the realities of new markets, new corporate structures, and new customer expectations. Brandt is an accomplished management innovator and an internationally recognized expert on manufacturing and technology. Before founding the MPI Group in 2003, John was publisher and editor-in-chief of Industry Week magazine, which garnered more than 70 editorial awards for excellence and doubled its revenue under his leadership. Additionally, John served as president, publisher, and editorial director of the Chief Executive Group, publisher of Chief Executive, where his leadership transformed the magazine into one of publishing's most surprising comebacks. A frequent lecturer around the globe on topics ranging from leadership and customer value to management best practices and building world-class communities. John is the recipient of the prestigious Neal Award and has served as a member of the Manufacturing Extension Partnership National Advisory Board and a judge for the National Association of Manufacturers Award for Workforce Excellence. He currently serves as the co-chair of the Northeast Ohio Product Innovation Initiative, is an advisory board member of both SupplierInsight.com and Kin Tool Manufacturer, is director of the Work in Northeast Ohio Council and president of the Press Club of Cleveland. Please join me in welcoming John Brandt.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is John Brandt. I'm CEO of the MPI Group. Delighted to be here and delighted that APICS and MPI are global research partners. And today I want to talk a little bit about the benchmark tools that we have created together. And these are terrific tools here in which you are able to go in and benchmark against data that has been carefully collected and carefully screened from manufacturers and from distributors and warehouse centers. So what we want to do here is talk a little bit about, first of all, there's 2 tools here. One is the APICS Manufacturing Benchmark Tool. This is a tool that is developed based on a number of different studies that we have done over the years. These are carefully collected data from senior executives at manufacturing firms, primarily in the US. There are 4 years of data in it. And once you have logged into the, use your APICS login to get in, these tools are available to you. And I know my colleagues at APICS can tell you how to do that if you have some difficulty getting into APICS. Once you do that, you will be presented with the APICS manufacturing tool. And this tool allows you to find a benchmark or a series of benchmarks exactly that relate to either your warehouse center or your manufacturing facility. Let's start with the manufacturing tool. The manufacturing tool right here, as you see this benchmark tool, you'll be presented with this, and I want to get right into this. You have a number of options here that you can use. You've got a number of criteria. For example, you can go to ownership, public or private. You can go to nature of manufacturing, discrete, process, hybrid, age of plant, corporate parent revenue, number of selections there, volume and mix, plant revenue, world-class status, improvement method, whether they're using agile, lean, etc., cost of goods as a percentage of revenue. Any of those, you can make a selection there. You also can take a look and select the industry you want to look at. And we use NAICS codes. If you are unfamiliar with NAICS codes, we have a little click here. I'm not going to do it right now. I don't want to take us away from where we're going. We want to take a look at a specific industry. So let's go down, for example, we might go down to, I know we've got a number of folks today who are from fabricated metal, the fabricated metal industry. So if you go to fabricated metal, and we want to look at all those plants, or we could go specific, or we could drill down a little bit further into the NAICS codes. We're going to stick with all the plants right now. And if we do that, what we do is we just select that. We select how many years of the study we want to look at. Maybe we want to look at 2 years. We have, by the way, this study is being refreshed this fall, so there will be new data shortly here. And what we do is we've got that. All you do is select that. We could make additional criteria. I would encourage you not to do too many criteria at once, because sometimes you get down to 1 or 2 or 3 plants. It's not as useful, but you can play around with this. And then what you do is you simply apply the criteria. And once you do that, you will be presented with the benchmark that you've just put in. And what this will tell you is it will give you a little bit about the plant profile. I'll just scroll down here, and this is a charting tool here where you can chart. There's nobody in Alaska in the database, but you can chart, take a look at plant criteria. This is plant profile. And then it gets down to revenues, et cetera, looks at human resource practices, things such as how important is human resource management to your plant, how many employees, et cetera, labor turnover rates. There's a huge amount of data in here. Now, you can look at this online. You may want to take this and use this for other purposes as well, because it's human resources, it's got a variety of other areas. If you want to do that, you can either scroll down there or you can download a report. For example, you might say, well, I just want a PDF of this report. So you'd click the PDF button, and it is generating. You'll see it just kicked it over there. If I go up to there, my downloads, oops, what you can see is I've got a PDF report of all the data that you've just got there. So that is one way, and again, you can look all the way through this. It's quite an extensive report, looking at capital equipment, financial returns, et cetera. Or you might want to use this in a report or charts that you're preparing internally on benchmark issues. So you might say, well, I would like to create an Excel file of the same data. So if you do that, once again, it has been downloaded to whichever browser you're using. I happen to be on an Apple. And what you'll see here is you've got a nice report of all the data, which you can then use in other reports, copy, paste, et cetera, analyze, et cetera, in a variety of ways. And this really is an extensive set of data that looks at a variety of areas. As I mentioned, human resources, operations, things like what percentage of workers are involved in your improvement methodology, which programs and practices occur. It is really a good way to benchmark your data. So that's the manufacturing tool. And what you can see here, it tells you each time you do a criteria, how many are selected from those 2. If you want to reset your criteria, you click that button. It basically clears everything. I want to stress that data, the reports you run are not retained. So if you want to retain them, you're going to want to do a report either as a PDF or as an Excel. So if you've got a manufacturing plant or a portfolio of manufacturing plants, you're probably going to want to use this tool. If, however, you've got a warehouse center, you might want to use the ScoreMark distribution tool, which is very similar and is based on data that was just collected just this year. This tool was launched in June, and we're very excited about it. This allows you to take a look at benchmark data for for distribution centers. And you can look at things like type of company, again, sales or profit center, specific to distribution, logistics, warehousing, et cetera, number of SKUs. You can look at all that. So we might just want to look at, all right, let's look at type of organization. Or you could look at, just look at, say, private companies for now. Close that. And we apply the criteria. Click that button, similar to that. Once again, creates a report. Gives you a lot of detail on profile of that. Takes a look at HR practices again, operations, financial metrics, etc. Really solid data for you to benchmark your distribution center. Again, if this report is the one you want, you can click to get it as a PDF. That will be returned to you like so. Or, once again, you can click to download it as an Excel, which you can then use in other reports. It comes out in a nice spreadsheet for you. Again, this is data for both studies. These are primarily US samples. This data was collected from senior executives, and we run a number of statistical, numerical checks on it, actually look at every single response. We kick out many, many, many participants because we're not sure the data is appropriate or not. I also want to point out that a number of these metrics align very closely with the SCORE model. So if you're looking at that, that is an opportunity for you there. And with that, that is how the tool works. I am happy to answer questions at this point, but I'm going to turn it back over, I think, to Carolyn to moderate those.
Thank you, John. We have received some questions. The first question is for Kathleen. Kathleen, the participant says they cannot log into this on their APICS website and are asking if they need special access to be able to get to this.
Thanks, Carolyn. No, as long as you're an APICS member, you should have access to using the ScoreMark benchmark tool. So again, you just need to make sure you're an APICS member. This is exclusive for APICS members only. And if you're having any troubles, you can email memberservices@apics.org and we'll get someone to help you right away if you're having some login issues.
Great. The second question is for John. John, is there any kind of IT, information technology capability in the data? Meaning, are there any IT metrics / information?
There are, in fact, some IT metrics in both surveys. And so I would encourage people to go in and take a look at them.
Great. Next question is for John. John, do the reports only include U.S. data? Are all the companies U.S.-based?
In these two studies, currently, the data is primarily U.S., and I would say primarily, which means mostly. When we do the refresh of the manufacturing data, it will be global.
Okay. The next question, I think you have touched on, Kathleen, but let's just make certain. The question is, how much does it participate in the benchmarking tool? So can you give some idea about the cost of the membership required for use of this tool?
Sure thing, yeah. So as long as you're an APICS member, you have access, and we have a wide range of different membership options. We have student memberships, we have academic memberships, professional memberships are our biggest member category, and that is if you are interested in certification and pursuing your certification, you'll want to select the Plus option, which is $220 per year. And if you are not interested in pursuing certification within, the next year, you would select the Core option, and that is $180. And both membership options gives you full access to all the member benefits I mentioned earlier.
Great. The next question is, the manufacturing benchmarking tool has 4 years of saved data. How many years are in the distribution benchmark tool, given that it was released in June?
The distribution tool
the distribution tool, yes.
Yeah, the distribution tool has 1 year because we just launched it. But stay tuned, we're going to keep going.
The next question is there a similar tool for transportation benchmarks, or are there plans to create that sort of tool in the future?
There is not a similar tool for transportation right now, but APICS and MPI have a lot of plans for additional tools in the future, and we will keep everyone posted.
How often is this benchmarking data refreshed, John?
In general, the data in each study is refreshed every 2 years. Some will be refreshed more often.
The next question, are there inventory accuracy data from the warehouses and manufacturing included in the benchmarking tool?
There are a number of them, such as perfect order fulfillment, order delivery fulfillment, order shipped, order received at customer, etc. There's a variety of them. I'd encourage people to go in and take a look because yes, there are. There are.
Great. The next question is that this participant doesn't see glass manufacturing in the list. Will more industries be added in the future?
We're constantly looking at revising the number of lists, and we will certainly take a look at that.
The next question is there any customer service data, and when will global data be available?
So global data for manufacturing will be available in December or January. And we are currently in discussions with APICS about looking at when we can add global data for distribution.
Okay. And is there any customer service data in the benchmarking report?
I guess I'd like to know. We have things like usage of CRM tools. There are some customer-related things. I'm not 100% sure of exactly where that question is going with that. So there is some. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure how to answer that.
All right. One of the questions says, does it also include retail processes?
Right now, this study, the manufacturing study is of manufacturing plants. The distribution study is of distribution centers. Obviously, retail is important, and we're looking at that in a variety of ways, including another study that we've just finished with APICS that we'll be talking about in mid-October.
Great. Can we assume when the report returns no results, i.e. there's no numbers in the column, that there were no respondents in that category?
You can either assume that yes, or that maybe there's only one and we've put a shield on it because if you know enough about a specific plant or a specific distribution center, you could identify them, and all the respondents have been promised anonymity. And it is easy to get down to a very small sample if you put in, for example, 10 criteria.
Right. John, is the goal to use these tools for self-service, or will MPI be offering or engaging in delivering the benchmarks?
The goal here is for self-service. The idea is to, if, as everyone on this call knows, if you're going to do a benchmarking project yourself, you're going to take a team. It's going to take several months. You're going to have to collect data. You may have to go visit. The idea is to put the power of that benchmarking on your desktop so you can get it quickly. It's also to allow you to take a look at, okay, I want to get a benchmark for a plant just like me. But then also you can start taking a look, since we've got practices and some other things and some other metrics, what if we were more like XYZ? What would our numbers look like there? So it allows you to do not just some benchmarking, but a little bit of what if scenario planning as well, for what if we adopted Lean, for example, as an improvement methodology. How is somebody who looks like us but uses Lean, how do their metrics differ from ours?
Okay. John, we have a question about how is the data sourced?
The data is sourced. We go out and we have a pretty rigorous process, and we source from executives at specific within specific industries, at specific revenue levels, et cetera, and that's all detailed in the methodology. It's all, there's a lot to it. It's available at our website, and I'm certainly happy to share it with anybody on this call. But it is, and we verify who these executives are. We verify that. We take a look at the data very carefully, and we clean it.
The next question, I believe, is for Kathleen or APICS. Is this webinar valid for accumulating points to maintain certification?
That I would have to look into, but we can definitely follow up and get back to everyone and let them know if this goes towards certification maintenance.
And Kathleen, we've had several questions about reviewing how to access the tools from inside MyAPICS. Could you walk just through discussion about how they can go to MyAPICS and get to these benchmarking tools?
Absolutely. So again, once you have to be logged into to www.apics.org, and once you're there, you'll see the top level navigation, and what you'll see is credentials and education, APICS for business, APICS for individuals, and then that last header is called MyAPICS. And once you click on MyAPICS, it will take you to, I guess, your member center basically, and on the top left kind of row there, you'll see My Quick Links. It's a black bar there, and when you expand the drop-down menu, you'll see My Member Benefits. So when you click on My Member Benefits, it takes you to a page that gives you quick and easy access to all the different member benefits that you, again, have exclusive access to. At the very bottom, you'll see a category, sort of a bucket called benchmarking tools, and you can click on ScoreMark manufacturing site benchmark and the ScoreMark distribution site benchmark. So hopefully that helps you all navigate a bit better. Right.
So there's a question about how this compares to the PwC Global Supply Chain Benchmark or the PwC ScoreMark Performance Benchmark. I'll answer that question. ScoreMark Performance Benchmark looks at the end-to-end of a single supply chain. It is not looking at a manufacturing site or a distribution site. The requirement to do that is that your company have a corporate membership, and then that you then engaged in collecting your performance to compare relative to a competitive peer group. If you need more information on that, under APICS for Business, there's a section in there called ScoreMark Benchmarking, and underneath that, if you look at ScoreMark Process or ScoreMark Performance, you'll find additional information on that. Is there a simple one-click facility to understand the exact definition of the metric on the report? Otherwise, is it up to the user to study the standard metrics definition from the APICS dictionary?
Yes. There is. Yeah. We do. Yeah. There is not. There are no definitions on here.
Okay. Does the benchmarking include any customs trade compliance practices?
No.
Okay. All right. And John, you noted that the manufacturing data set will be refreshed in this fall, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. The question is, what are the possibilities to share the benchmarking reports within one's organization with non-APICS members? Basically, how openly can this information be shared?
I'm going to allow you to
answer that question. Yeah, I'll answer that question. The benchmark reports are an individual member benefit, and you may choose to use them for whatever purpose that you need to use them for. We do encourage you to remind you that these are member benefits, and ask you to be reasonable in your use of the tool. There was a question about, is rope manufacturing an industry option?
Did you say rope manufacturing?
Yeah, rope manufacturing.
I think I would look under textile mills and see what is there.
Okay. All right. What is the method, John, that they could provide feedback on the benchmarking tools? Would you prefer that to come to APICS, and then we
can come to APICS
and yeah,
you can come to APICS or us, either one. Yep, I absolutely look forward to having feedback on it, because we're constantly trying to improve as we go forward, just like everybody on this call.
Right, right. So you could reach out to Kathleen in membership and provide that. You could reach out to myself, Carolyn Lawrence, at corporate development at apics.org, and we'll make certain that your input is presented back to MPI. All right, I think that is the last question we have, unless anyone else has any additional questions. We are delighted to help you as you begin to use these tools. So please feel free to reach out to either Kathleen or myself, Carolyn, and we are delighted to walk you through the tools and give you additional assistance in using them. This is a tremendous member benefit, and we are very excited about being able to share this with a much larger APICS community. Kathleen?
That's great. Yeah. So thanks, Carolyn. And so that concludes our Q&A session as well as our webinar today. If we were unable to answer any of your questions, we'll definitely follow up with your queries. Again, I want to just reiterate that these are exclusive member benefits that we discussed here today, and any category of membership that you are APICS, whether you're a student, a corporate member, young professional, etc., you have the access to this under My APICS. And if you have any questions about that, again, you can contact either Carolyn or myself. And in the webinar that was recorded today, you'll have the presentation and the link sent to you, and we will include contact information in there as well, so you can reach out to us if you need any additional information. And so with that said, I'd like to thank you all for attending the webinar today, and have a great rest of your day.